I wish I could say Happy Friday, but I'm not in a very good mood. Oh dear, no news from the scooter. I got a message yesterday saying, so sorry, Wayne's asked me to ring you because he's not in today. That's because I left him a message that wasn't too nice on his answer machine. And say that I am chasing it up on behalf of Wayne. It's supposed to be coming in today, which was Thursday, or tomorrow, which is today. I will update you. No phone call today, no scooter, and I don't think they work weekends. So, altogether I'm not very happy. But what has made me more unhappy was I went to the cafe with my friends yesterday morning, and I said to my friend, we go in tandem on two scooters, yeah. Well, like, you know, what do you call it, Thelma and Louise going up the seafront together. I said to her, my scooter's going so slow. I said, is it my imagination, but it's going slow. So she's got like a mileometer thing on her scooter, which I don't have, that says how many miles an hour she's going. So she kept pace with me, and she said, you're going 4 miles an hour. Now 4 miles an hour is the slow speed on my scooter, 8 miles an hour is the top speed. So she said, are you sure you're in top speed? So I put it on the tortoise, which is the low speed. No difference. So I thought, so press the hare, which is the fast speed. No difference. Anyway, we got there, and I said to her, I'm getting fed up with this. And then I didn't get the message because there's no Wi-Fi signal in the cafe for some stupid reason. My friend has inquired why there is none. And they just go, you know. And so I missed the phone call. So I'd got a message on my answering machine from this guy called Matt or Mac or somebody, saying that he was looking into it where the scooter was. I think it must be coming via Hong Kong, China, and all points east, south, north and west. Yeah, because it's not arrived. It was supposed to go there yesterday, supposed to arrive there today. I've had no message. So anyway, on the way back, I felt like I was going slower and slower and slower. And I said to Kim, I said, I'm just, I think I'm going to break down here. So she said shall we go onto the main road? Because we were on the seafront, so it's a bit awkward to say to a rescue person, like, where you are actually on the seafront. And they wouldn't have been able to bring the vehicle on the seafront because only registered allowed vehicles are allowed on the seafront. And you've got to go through the barricade, and you have to have a special key, I presume, to undo it. So maybe emergency vehicles have it, like the ambulances, fire brigade, etc., etc. But like ordinary people wouldn't be able to get onto the seafront. So I said, we better go onto the main road. So we did. So she said at the end, I've got a feeling I'm going to be pushing you, pushing the scooter on with you on it. I thought, oh, this is getting great. Anyway, she left me and she said, I've got another about 4 streets after she is to get home. So she said, oh, just text me when you get in, make sure you're home. Anyway, it did manage to limp its way home. So it's stuck in the garage now, so it looks like I'm grounded until such as I hear. But if I don't hear on Monday, I'm going to say you have to come out and pick the scooter up, which they won't like because that'll mean 2 trips from Bolton, Burnley, wherever they're from, all the way here to pick this scooter up and bring me another one, which, they're not going to like it. Well, they should, find my scooter wherever it is. Yeah. Anyway, I haven't finished this yet because although I do love anything with fringe on, because, true gypsy boho, whatever you want to call me, I hate actually fringing anything. It's all the winding mound into it and all the separated. So it's got to have its fringe on, yeah. It has blocked out a lot bigger, and I did actually manage to, I haven't got my blocking boards. I think I've explained to you, the weather's so dire, I can't put them outside, yeah. So I managed to try and block it on the dining room table, which I don't think my daughter-in-law was that thrilled about, but never mind. So it is finished, Barbara shouted, if you know what I mean. Tomorrow I'm looking after the dogs because my family are going out to a concert. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to make a holy mess in here while they're out and spread out all the fringe, because you've got to do it multicoloured, the fringing, and I want it in some kind of an order because I've got this brain that needs, I can't just put like a bunch of pink, a bunch of yellow, you know. So I need it to be spaced out all the way around it. So I need the table like to cut all the pieces and spread them all out. So I'm going to make an unholy mess tomorrow when they're not in to do the fringing. And then I'll show it you again when it's fringed. It is more pink than I would have liked. They did actually put a disclaimer on the pattern page saying that the colours may appear different on your colour monitor type of thing. I think they were sort of, I don't know, not excusing themselves, but, you know, because it did appear to be all sort of more red this bit here, where I've got more pink. And yet I used their colour chart of the, I think I told you, the actual yarn I couldn't get because they seemed to be out of stock of nearly everything. But I used the colour chart to match up with this chunk here as much as I could, yeah. So they're fairly true to the colours, except for that colour there should have been a lot brighter. That sort of peacocky colour should have been a lot brighter. And that emerald green there should have been like a very bright grass green, which they didn't have in this particular chunk. Anyway, it'll be fine. But I don't know whether I want to keep it or not. I don't know. Maybe when it's fringed and maybe when I try it on, you know, wearing it over black, you know, it might be more dramatic looking with the black sweater and black trousers. Although it would be too cold at the moment to wear it as it is. But it's not really the sort of thing you can put on top of your coat, is it really, you know? So I think it would have to wait until spring stroke summer to be actually worn. So I may actually take it to the craft fair. There's 4 weeks left of the craft fair. So I may try. Although I am not selling it cheaply because it cost quite a lot for the actual wool. Because bear in mind you have to buy a ball of each of all these chunkies. I think there was about 10 colours or something like that, 8 colours, 10 colours. So you had to buy a ball of each and you had to buy 3 balls of the black. So, you know, there's quite a fair amount cash-wise invested in it, even if you don't get much for your time for doing it, you know. So people just don't appreciate it, yeah, so that's what it is. Anyway, I took delivery of 2 sort of aids to, you know, the stall to make it look more attractive. I have got an adult version of these. They're like plastic hollow back, I don't know if you can see, they're hollow mannequins, but they're ideal really for storing in the shed because they're so lightweight. I did have proper mannequins in fabric on stalks, you know, before I moved house, but I just couldn't bring them because I wouldn't have had any room for them. They would have took up so much space. I've got the one adult mannequin, but all the others have had to go. I've got an adult version of this one. As I say, they're very lightweight, very, well, quite inexpensive to be quite truthful. This jacket I've got on it, I have showed you before, but it's a little bit too small for this mannequin. But I just thought I'd show you what it looked like. But I finally put its button on, yeah. I will be making more now I've got the mannequins to put them on. I'm going to try a few children's things. So I did buy a child-size one, although it's not a very big child. But then again, I'm not going to be making things for very big children. I did show you this waistcoat before, but I have finished it now. As I did explain before, I just wanted ordinary white eyelash, but the only eyelash I had in white has sparkles in it. So I just hope that some mum likes a little bit of glitter. Yeah, this is the back view. I have made this. That one is a pattern, I think I showed you the book it came from on another video, yeah. But this one is completely mine, out of my head. So, you know, all you need to do is just look at your stitch book. Everybody's got a stitch book of crochet, and if you don't, there's absolutely gazillions of YouTube videos showing different stitches. All you have to do is do a variety of stitches, like I've got bobbles at the bottom and cross stitches there, bit of like, I call them fans, I think you call them shells, a bit of like front post, back post there, another row of bobbles up there. You just do a variety of different stitches and then, you know, just do it your own way. And I did get a sort of the idea of the colours from another pattern I had in another book. But I think I explained the other day that most of the American books are done in yarn number 4 weight, which we don't have. Yeah, in the UK, we don't have a 4 weight. We have a DK, which is finer, which is what I've used, or we have an Aran, which is thicker. And to be quite truthful, I don't like Aran on a baby because it's too chunky. You know, the poor little kids like that, isn't it, you know? So consequently, if I do use a lot of the US patterns, unless they've got a big size that I can make that comes out smaller in double knit, I have to do what I call it jiggery pokery. Yeah, you know what I mean? You have to jiggery pokery with the pattern. This is why when people say, which pattern did you use? I'm like, well, you see, I had to do this, I had to do that, I had to do the other, and I've left them behind about 3 sentences ago, yeah? Because a lot of people can only work to a pattern. They don't know how to adapt, how to, you know, if it's not coming out the right size, they don't know what to do. They're like, because they can only follow the pattern to the letter. Whereas I think I've told you before, when I learned to crochet, there wasn't many patterns at all, so you had to learn to be adaptive. You had to learn how to do it yourself, basically. You know, that was the way and the way people crocheted back in the old days. I mean, I'm going back way, way before. We're talking great, 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 great grandmas ago. There was no such thing as patterns. You know, I have seen, you know, when I've looked at some things, that they used to keep like a scrapbook, and they would do a sample of a stitch and they would write down at the side what they'd done. Only a swatch, we're talking a swatch. And that was their pattern books back in the day. Because like our great, 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 great grandmothers, you know, they used to do it literally. And they'd make the most fantastic tablecloths, lace work. If you go to a museum anywhere that does textiles, if you look at some of the fantastic work that is done, Irish crochet, I mean, Irish crochet is, I couldn't do it, it's absolutely fantastic. And I hold my hand up to anybody who can do the Irish crochet in the very fine thread, very fine hooks. Bear in mind that the ladies who made all of those didn't have patterns. You know, it's what they now call, I think it's called Prudence Mapstone, I think she's Australian or something. She's what she calls freeform, yeah? So our ancestors used to freeform everything. I have not got the brain that manages to do, one of my friends used to call it scumbling or scrumbling or something, but it is like freeform. You do things like the shape of a paisley, you do things that are round, you do a flower, you do whatever, and then you pin them onto sort of, well, they didn't have mannequins, and well, I suppose maybe they did, but they would pin them out anyway, and then they would crochet like a lattice in between them all. My brain does not compute. My brain doesn't do it. Sue can do it. You know, and if you've got the kind of brain that can work this sort of lacy bits in between, good luck, I can't. I have tried, not in such thin, because my finger ends, well, I've got my compression gloves on today. They are so dead, the ends of my fingers are just dead. I can't feel anything. That I can't hold fine crochet cotton anymore, I can't hold the fine hooks. I just can't get tension. I'm better with the medium size hooks. I was just discussing before on Facebook with my friend Ephraim, you know Ephraim. He can't use big hooks either, but he can use the tiny hooks, which I can't use. But I can't use, when I see people using these whopping big hooks, you know, and whopping things and doing it, can't use them. I'm like, my grip's not there, if you know what I mean. I'm alright with sort of between about a 350 and maybe a 550 if I'm pushing it, but I'm happier between 350 and 5, yeah. I mean, I'm struggling a bit with my knitting because it's on a 9mm knitting needle. They're really a bit big. Other people, whoa, chunky, I can knit this really faster. I'm quicker with like a DK or an Aran at the push because I can get on with it faster because I don't know what there is about it. But I am hopeless with like super chunky, you know, really hopeless. One of the girls at Knit Club, she's making these like basket things. Well, they're baskets with handles, so they're cross between a basket and a bag. They've got a round bottom, if you know what I mean. She's got the wool from Aldi. It's supposed to be chunky. If you watch Crochet Rock, she's just done well, not an unboxing because it came in a bag, but she's done an unbagging of her order from Aldi. And it's classed as a chunky, number 5, but it isn't. It's really thick. It's a super chunky. But it's making some fantastic bags. I think my friend's on the 3rd one now. She's crocheting away there. Oh dear. Talking about Knit Club, it was a bit aggravating on Wednesday. One of the women who wasn't there was putting the cat amongst the pigeons because I don't know what she wants, but she's more or less, I think it used to be a little nucleus of about 6 people. And of course, newcomers like myself, I've been there 12 months, so I'm not really that new of a newcomer, but we've had some newcomers coming in. We've had 4 new ones coming in. And she's getting a knickers in a twist. I think she just wants to be with the ones that are there all together. And because some of the newbies are like sitting down at the bottom end with all the others that have been there a while, she's a bit put out by this. So she's upset everybody by, sort of saying, if you knew, you sit at the far end of the table. I mean, I've finished up at the far end of the table, which doesn't bother me really, but I can't hear what goes on down the bottom end of the table. And I've got more or less perfect hearing. One of the other ladies who's complaining, well, she's not complaining, it's a friend who's complaining on behalf of her. He said, I can't hear, it's too noisy at this end, I can't hear what's going on. All she needed to say was, do you mind if I sit down this end because I can't hear? Yeah. Not get a friend, to load the bullets and somebody else to fire the gun, which was what happened on Wednesday. I think all the newbies should sit at the top end of the table. One of our newbies is deaf in one ear, so she can't really move up the table because she'd hear nothing. I can hear nothing at the top end of the table. I'll be honest about it. I have to sort of, what did you say? But I just get on with it. I just do my crochet, mind my own business, and But it did bring so much ill feeling into what should have been a beautiful, tranquil. And I suffer with a bit of PTSD. Don't take anxiety medications, don't take anything, because by and large it's under control. But it comes from when I was married. Won't go into the details, but certain situations where there's a bit of aggression, a bit of arguing, a bit of whatever, I get all, ooh. I don't shake on the outside, but my stomach goes up and down and I'm shaking on the inside and I feel like I'm going to faint, I just don't feel well. And that was how I felt on Wednesday night, and I thought, this is not good at all, So I do hope it sorts itself out before next Wednesday, otherwise, I really enjoy going, and when it makes me feel like I don't want to go just in case there's any I just hope it sorts itself out. But like the rest of us were like saying, why should one person dictate where she wants to sit? Or demands where she wants to sit, She got there early enough, she could sit wherever she wanted. That's my attitude. First come, first served. If you want to sit in if you come late like me, you're in the cheap seats, you know what I mean? If she wants to be in the good seats, down with all the cronies down that end, then she should come earlier, Arrive. But the people who arrive earlier are the ones who have to put the tables out, because at the moment there's no caretaker. So when we go, the tables are not set out yet. I mean, what can we do with the tables? Put them in a ring, put them in a T-shape, put them whichever. Oh, there is no easy answer. There is no easy answer. Whichever way it is, somebody's going to be in the cheap seats and not be able to hear. Yeah. I just hate aggression. I really do hate aggression. As I say, it really sets me off. I've had a week of it because I was really upset about my scooter. I just have had a week where everything, again, another week where everything's gone wrong. Last week it was my PC that's gone wrong. This week it's my printer. My PC is not talking to the printer. So I couldn't print out the labels for the things I've sold on eBay. So I had to write everything out by hand, you know. Oh. And I can't find out what's wrong with the printer. I don't know anything. My son doesn't know anything. And my other friend who would help me, she's only got a push bike and she lives miles away, so she would have to ask her husband to drop her off. And she doesn't really know what's what, you know. I do miss being in Prestwich. I had about 3 or 4 people in Prestwich where I could just say, I don't know how to do this, and they would help me out, yeah? Here, I don't know anybody, you know. I don't have those PC savvy. My niece was brilliant. My niece could help me out. She used to sort me out, but she lives back in Prestwich. And I can't have her driving all the way over here just to sort my printer out, you know. So I'm just feeling a bit miffed. I'm a bit miffed with the world this week. You know, do you ever have weeks like that? You get up all sunny and then somebody rains on your parade, don't they, you know. I'm a very optimistic person. I tend to think tomorrow my scooter will arrive, tomorrow things will be different. Tomorrow my printer will suddenly start to work. I've checked it all, it's working. I've done the test piece. I don't know what's going on with the inks because it's telling me that all 3 inks are fine, all 3 inks are working, and yet my red's not. So, but I'm not buying any ink cartridge just because the red's not printed, you know. So everything's in blue and green, but that's by the by, isn't it, yeah? Oh, gosh. I wish everything was well with my world. If you want to know what I'm wearing, it's a very, very ancient shawl that I actually made, no idea what the pattern is. I actually made it in Tricell, so that's going back a bit, isn't it? It's been all around everywhere, and every holiday I've ever been on, it's been with me. Because it's very, very thin. I think it was 3 or 4 ply, as you can see. And it's got a big fringe on it, which, you know, typical boho me loves to death, yeah. I'm going to stick fringe on everything here, I think. And there's Rosie barking at nothing, again as usual. I think I mentioned before, the poor guy next door has had to change his works van. And as he works out of his van, it has all, you know, compartments, racking, whatever you want to call it, where he keeps his bits in, his hammer, his drills, his bits. So of course he's had to take everything out of the old van and put everything back into the new van. So he's just really irritated our Rosie because he's been drilling and knocking and hammering and banging, you know. And she's very trigger happy with her barking, yeah. So she's come in this room next door to me. I can hear her. She's nosy. She likes to know what's going on. I've come in here actually because it's actually warmer. I've just been freezing in my lounge. I'm going to have to light the fire. My son is going to order some more wood because I'm going through logs at a rate of knots. At this rate, you know, we need a woodman spare that tree to go out and see what we can find, you know, any spare trees knocking about. Now, if I'd have lived in Prestwich, there would have been plenty of fallen trees in the clough, and I could have just gone and picked a load up. Well, I could have if I could have walked down there, but I could have got my neighbours. Can you collect some bits that have fallen off the trees, you know, on your way round with the dogs and stuff? And I'm sure they would have brought me a load of wood back. So I would have got a load of free wood if I'd still lived in Prestwich. But here, you know, trees are at a premium here. You know, you don't. We've got 4 trees actually here, but they're only spindly little trees. They're not trees that you can burn. But there's no trees around, there's no woodland around where, you know, bits fall off trees and that. So, you know, it just wouldn't work, yeah. I don't think you can burn sea and concrete. Oh, the diggers were out on the seafront the other day, blocking the path we had to go through. The sand was like sand dunes. You can tell how windy and bad it's been. The sand had just piled up in great dunes all over, you know, like the pathway, the walkway, whatever you want to call it. The seafront. You know, we used to call it the promenade when, you know, we were young. I don't know whether it's because you used to promenade up and down it, but we used to call it the promenade. The flat bit where you walk by the sea. It was full of sand, like dunes like that, which you couldn't go through on your scooter, you had to keep going around. There was massive big diggers blocking the whole of the promenade. And I said to one guy, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm clearing the sand." And I'm thinking, I'm sure you could have brought a smaller digger. You didn't need to bring that huge thing that looked like it's going to move a mountain. It's only sand. You know, they could have done it with a little, you know, I don't know what they call them, little diggers, with a little bucket on the front. They could have done it with that. Didn't need this massive, great chunking thing that took up the whole width, you know, of the promenade. Yeah. So Thelma and Louise, me and my friend, you know, like trying to get up. We tried to have a conversation as we're going along, because otherwise it's a bit boring, isn't it? But we tried to have a conversation. Well, we tried to, because like she said, "My goodness, your scooter's flipping noisy, isn't it?" I said, "I know. It whines." That's why I couldn't do the video the other day on the seafront, because all my camera picked up was the wind and the whine of my scooter. So my PC decided it didn't like that noise and it didn't want to do the video, because it's a high pitch. Oh, that's telling me to shut up, yeah. I don't need a horn to get, you know, to tell people I'm coming, because they hear me and they all turn around like, "What's that noise? What's that noise? Oh, hello." And it's going as I go down the seafront, yeah. So I'll be glad to get rid of the whine. So as long as this new one arrives sometime, whenever, you know, someday my prince will come. When it arrives, I hope it doesn't squeak or whine. And on that note, I'm going to whine off, and I'm going to, actually I might have some wine. I have some sort of low alcohol wine in the fridge, so I might have a glass of that. Yeah. Bye for now.